Thank you very much. So, for easier access, my name is Kasia Janowska. I am WordPress Unicorn, a designer and developer for websites that bump revenue for businesses and improve their communication with clients. Why am I here? Well, I am here for you to learn on my example. So this is my LinkedIn version of reality. In real life, I am actually a perfectionist. I am an expert in WordPress community for 12 years already. I am also social media user, like an addict. And then I am also community member. And because all of that, I was so hesitant always to admit that I made mistakes, that I am still learning new things, and that there is something new that I had to try first. I am very hesitant to admit that I don't know something because I am super afraid that I will be judged harshly. So before you judge me, I thought, stop, that's just stupid. We are open source community and we are better together. And we learn by sharing the path and not only the LinkedIn highlights for our projects. So my story is that lately I was switching from Elementor to blocks. My friends told me this will be a super great idea. And it turned out to be a tale of a 1001 assumptions that were not so easy to overcome. So in reality, I changed from Elementor to Spectra and not to Blocks Editor. And to be even more honest, I switched not from Elementor, but from Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor. And Spectra was formerly named Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. They are both made by Brainstorm Force, so I thought, basically I'm switching from one violet color to the other violet color. What can go wrong? Everything will be the same, right? So, yeah, well, you can imagine this wasn't an easy ride for me. And I just want to remind you before you start judging me that in 2016, Matt Mullenweg told us, learn JS deeply. Not all of us listened. This year, he told us, learn AI deeply. Part of us is already listening. And I, in my all being so modest, I will tell you, please learn your tools deeply before you start using them in commercial products. Because what I did instead was assume boldly. Oh, how boldly. So the story is, I had an easy project. From front-end developer point of view, the design prepared greatly by Agnieszka Palmowska. I still thank her very much for this design. It is absolutely amazing. Looked more or less like this. With my front-end developer eye, I looked at it and there's nothing hard here. In CSS, it would be like, yeah, nothing hard. I approved this design. The client fell in love. And from that second, from that love moment, the client knew it has to be pixel perfect. And then my assumptions started. Assumption number 1. If Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor has some kind of block, Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg has to have them too, right? Well, there was a block that I needed. It was a hotspot image block for an interactive map for my client. And the assumption for this project was that the client wanted to have everything possible to drag and drop and click and change, and nothing could be done in code, like pure code, because everything is constantly changing there. So, and this example, I got to know this is not true. If one block is in one solution, it doesn't mean it is there in the second solution. And I tried to look for a single block, like a teeny tiny plugin adding just one block. And I learned another thing. WordPress environment, open source as it is, doesn't have an open library of single blocks. I always have to install those huge solutions or write it myself. And here, I didn't have a solution yet. But I also had another very similar solution. If a block in Spectra, that is tabs, which basically is like one list and one div with content, if that block allows rich content, like lists, columns, and so on, then if accordion block in Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor allows rich content, then accordion block, for some reason called FAQ, in Spectra has to allow it too. Right? Well, the design was accordion block with columns, videos, galleries, lists, and buttons. Please do not mention anything about performance here. The design was like that and the client loved it. So I discovered, yes, tabs do allow rich content, but FAQ only allows very simple FAQ child, which accepts only text, even without formatting, as if I am not wrong. So I couldn't put even a list into this accordion. By that time, I already knew Spectra isn't the answer for all my questions in this project. So I also knew there is no library with which I can install only one single block that would assure that this will work. So I did the next thing. I was looking for a plugin that will allow me to at least disable the blocks that I don't need. And I stumbled upon this teeny tiny thingy, and I ended up using it like that. Like 99% of this plugin is turned off. I am not very proud of this solution. Another bold assumption of mine was, if Elementor allows me to style container with a slideshow images, then for sure Spectra allows it too, because this is one of those shiny functions from Elementor, and Spectra is all for shiny. So, yeah. The client was already completely in love with the idea of having a huge slideshow on her main page, which switches the images seasonally. So they had to be possible to change by her at any moment of her business. And I discovered that, yeah, Elementor allows me to do that, but Spectra allows me to have simple background, gradient background, video background, but no slideshow. So I ended up with a solution that I am definitely not proud of, and this is just a regular slideshow. Yes, you think right. There is like 5 H1s markers in this website, but client is super happy about this solution. We have another assumption. This assumption was, if a block in this blocks add-on library allows me to set some options and another block uses this block, then definitely these options will be there, right? Well, the example was, we have simple buttons in here. They all look the same. They all have this little arrow, which is super cute. Fortunately, it didn't have to be animated. So I already knew that Spectra allows me to add buttons, icons in buttons for the button block. Check. I also knew that there is this info box block that allows me to paste icons for the call to action element that is inside. What I did not know by that stage is there is also a post loop block, which obviously using a link, which is read more link that I can choose, it should look like a button, but it doesn't have this put icon in. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, in the info box, icon is there twice. This is the newest version, and this obviously is a bug because those controls are in total sync with each other. So by that stage, I got to know that, well, blocks is super young solution in comparison to Elementor, and Spectra is just a baby. And it still has so much inconsistencies. Even the labels of those fields are completely different between blocks. They did not have time, probably yet, to make it right and smooth. So, since the client already loved the little arrow, I ended up with a chunk of custom code, which the client cannot change herself. This is against what we talked about at the beginning of the project. The next assumption, if documentation, or more honestly, marketing materials, tell me that it is possible to use content from variables in a line and put them anywhere, like in normal PHP I would do, then probably it is possible, right? Right? Well, this was the task that I had post loop that had the price and the unit for the price. So, of course, I have custom field for that so that I can use it not only in the post, but also in the archive. Everything will be beautiful, I thought. I used the header block. I marked the text. I chose the rich content to load the variable in here. Everything worked great. Then I marked another part of this text, and already something was not right. The formatting controls disappeared. I will do that somehow. I will make it. I will hook to this price somehow and make it look as in the design. Now I will focus on doing it fast and making it, work. So I clicked at the button that allows me to put variable in here, and nope, this is project in progress. It is impossible to put two variables inside one string for some reason. And here I again got reminded, this is a very new project. It's just a baby. And I shouldn't be so bold by using all the options that maybe are there or maybe not. So I ended up with another chunk of custom code for the post loops that should show what is in the design. Unfortunately, in the editor, it looked like that, which is very, very far from what was in the design. Fortunately, on front end, it looked as it should, and the client was super happy about that. The only problem was she wasn't able to move around everything. But well, it was a post loop. Maybe she will live with that. So, is that all? Well, no, those are only the most vivid problems that I stumbled upon during this problem. And the bold assumptions I did, yes, I admit most of them were stupid. Now I know it. But 1001 dramatic assumptions were only because I did not put enough time before this project to learn the tool that I used. What was it really? It was more or less 100 hours more of work than what was in the pricing. Did the client pay me more? Well, no, because it was me who approved this design. It was me who came up with the pricing. And if anything, the client wanted to pay me less because I was late with the project that I promised I will deliver. And then, how did it look on LinkedIn, on the other hand? Well, it is a blooming success. Everything is great. The client is over the moon with the new website. She's bragging about the website to all her friends and clients. The performance is not so great as you can imagine, but on the other hand, a new client came to the website only 3 hours after launching, and as it comes to comparison to the old website, the revenue is like 30% bigger than then. So on LinkedIn, ho ho ho, it's a success story. But in real life, how many hours of frustration and tears and screaming and wanting to throw my computer out of the window, this only I know. And now also you. So please learn your tools deeply before you put the pricing on a project. Thank you very much.